This is the first in a series of resources that consider supply and demand. Part 1 looks at the law of demand, defining the law and providing the context from which we derive the law. Part 2 of the series considers the law of supply, providing the same analysis as in Part 1. Part 3 combines the laws of supply and demand to find the point of equilibrium and considers what happens if either quantity supplied or demanded change. Part 4 of the series looks at price floors and ceilings, which are government-imposed constraints placed on the prices at which goods may be sold. Part 5 inspects those factors in the marketplace which may change the overall demand for a particular good. Part 6 considers what can change the overall supply of a good. The final resource in the series inspects the interplay of changes in demand and supply and determines what would be the overall effect on the equilibrium price and quantity supplied. To begin understanding the law of demand, first we need to consider the quantity demanded. This is the amount of a particular good that its customers are able to and are willing to buy at each price point. It is how much of the good a customer can afford to purchase. Perhaps more importantly, it is the amount that the customer can justify to themselves spending on that particular good. It is important to remember quantity demanded is always from the viewpoint of the consumer. A demand schedule is a chart showing how much of a specific good consumers will want to purchase at different prices, ceteris paribus. Recall that this means that we hold every other possible variable fixed, so we can focus on the results from the change in price. For example, consider individual pizzas. If each pizza is expensive, consumers will not be willing to buy many. So if an individual pizza costs $10, for example, a consumer might be willing and able to justify buying one pizza per month. If the price drops to $8, then the consumer would be willing to purchase 4 pizzas. At $6, 7 pizzas could be purchased. A $4 pizza results in the consumer demanding 10 per month, while a $2 special has the consumer demanding 13 pizzas per month, at least until they get sick of pizza and start wanting something else to eat. However, just looking at numbers is not always enlightening. So let's look at a picture instead. We can consider the individual demand curve, which depicts how many of a good one individual demands at each given price point. Because we are controlling the price, that becomes our independent variable and goes on the horizontal axis. The response variable is then the quantity demanded, which goes on the vertical axis. Using the pizza example, we get the graph shown. It depicts each price and the corresponding number of pizzas demanded as an individual point. Economics is concerned with big picture topics. So while it is nice to know how one individual responds to changes in price, economics is more worried about the entire market for a particular good or service. Therefore, it looks at the market demand curve rather than individual demand curves. To form this curve, it compiles all the possible individual demand curves and forms a single composite curve. In general, a market demand curve has the selling price on the horizontal axis and the quantity demanded on the vertical axis. The curve itself starts with high quantity demanded at low prices and slopes downward as the price increases. This phenomenon defines the law of demand. The law of demand states that there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded, so long as all other variables remain the same. This means that when price is low, the quantity demanded will be high. When price is high, consumers demand lower quantities. What happens when the price of a good changes? For the consumer, changes in price result in changes in quantity demanded. This represents movement along a demand curve. Note that we have to be very specific with that wording. Stating that the demand changes means something completely different, as we shall see in a later resource in this series.